And 3, 2, 1. And what is up, everyone? Welcome back to the 7th installment of the FrameCast already. Can you imagine that 7 weeks ago we started for the first time?
No, I thought we were on like episode 3 or 4. if I had to be honest, I'm like, what?
No,
Yeah.
we're on the 7th episode. Also, you're looking good. You're looking good. Say now. Ready for TennoCon?
I just so you know, like, I'm one of those people that hate having compliments about their physical appearance. Like, it just makes me feel like creeped out. Ugh. I don't like it. Yeah, no, I'm getting ready to leave for TennoCon. We'll be leaving at I have to leave at 6 a.m. in the morning to get a train down towards Heathrow Airport to then fly on to good old Canada.
So
Ooh.
that's tonight, isn't it? Like, well, tomorrow morning.
It's tomorrow morning, yeah.
Okay. How many times have you been actually?
All 4 years. So this
Oh,
is the 4th year in a row. Yeah, and we're certainly doing next year because we have grandiose plans.
ooh.
But we don't know whether or not we'll continue going after year 5.
Yeah, I can
So
understand that.
nothing against DE, but it's just like, we've done first 5 years. Yeah,
I mean, 5 years is a lot, man. I remember the very
it
first
is.
one, which was like insane. Looking at all the pictures. Now I'll be back home looking at all the pictures again, and hoping that people keep me updated. But yeah, today we're gonna be talking about TennoCon. So the thing that we want to talk about with TennoCon today is that, well, 2016 I wasn't there, but in 2017 and 2018 when I was there, we had Tenno Live. And on Tenno Live, what we would have is one big reveal, something that we never saw coming, and for some reason it was always an open world. I mean, two out of two times was an open world, so let's not get too carried away there. However, first year, 2017, well, second year, first year for me, was Plains of Eidolon. No one had ever seen before, and we just went in, and that was the thing that also came out in October that year. And then the second year we had Fortuna, which came out, which was released there. No one knew about it. We had the open demo, and then we went and got it in November. However, this year is going to be a little bit different, and that makes me very interested in how it's going to be received. So let me put it out a little bit. This year, instead of the last 2 years where we had our Plains of Eidolon and Sacrifice already complete by the time that Fortuna was announced, we're still sitting on Railjack, and we're sitting on the new war that have yet to be released. Now, DE have said at the start of this year in the very first dev stream where they came around and said, we're not going to do a big playable demo this year because it costs us a lot of development time, and we'd rather put that into updates that are actually coming out. So if they stick to that, then most likely we're going to see Railjack or the new war or both in a more developed form with an announcement. So there will be things that we know are coming. There won't be anything new, but we'll get a bit of an update on that. In the second scenario, maybe they're holding something behind their hand, which most oftentimes they do. They will be announcing something new that no one expected. But then the thing is, if they're announcing something new, what is going on with the two things that we already know about? So in both scenarios, it's going to be very different from the last 2 years. So that made us wonder, is TennoCon 2019 at risk of falling a bit flat in either of the two scenarios? So that's what we're going to be talking about today.
Wow, thanks for leading me into that. just cool. What am I going to do with this? Awesome. So my personal opinion is that even though they turn around and say, hey, let's not worry about the upcoming, any future stuff, we're not going to reveal like oh god, this the dating sim Warframe. They're not going to introduce something absolutely insane and crazy in terms of new gameplay or anything like that. I think one of the most important things for DE is to really highlight some of the work in progress stuff. So I think we're going to get a more flushed out version of Railjack. It was basically said during the PC Gamer show during E3 that is what we're going to get. Rebecca was there to present a small little teaser video, but we didn't see anything new. That I think the only thing we saw new was maybe 2 new environments into where Railjack will take place. But it's like, okay, so we've got above Fortuna or Valis, where we have all those weird pylon thing, or we've got an asteroid tile set, or I don't know what the other one was, but yeah, so it's just like, ooh, cool space, so nothing too thrilling, but at the same time, so there's that. So I'm expecting a lot more development for the Railjack side of things. There was a very interesting thing. I don't know if I should tell you this because if it was a bit of a spoiler. I don't normally do this, but I'm actually going to say to chat. There was something that was kind of spoiled during a interview with DE. Do you want me to say it, or do you want me to just pipe up? Because I kind of felt a bit like, oh, I wish no one had told me this.
I think now you're bringing this up, like, I'm getting really curious about it.
Right.
So I would love to know.
Yeah, I mean, well, I get that, but like at the same time, I don't want to, upset anyone if they're listening and like, oh no, but like, I mean, obviously I can talk about the stuff that should happen or could happen or what have you, but maybe while the chat decides whether or not we actually say it, I'll highlight some of the other stuff. So I think it's really important that we get some idea of what's going on with the new war. I mean, we've had a tiny teaser with them showing off the new tile set. They've highlighted that there's going to be new sentient enemies, which is like, oh, thank God, because yeah, okay, the sentient enemies are nice and everything, but like we need far more sentient stuff than what we currently have. So yeah, okay, so
I think people here are would love you to say it. I'm just gonna adjust something really quickly, which might mess up with your cam, because I've noticed that my streamer mode is not turned on in Discord. Otherwise, people are gonna get Discord pings, and that will be super annoying for anyone that might be listening and thinks their Discord is acting up. It's not. It was me. But go ahead.
Right. Okay. Cool. So actually, that's a fair point. Maybe I'll set myself to do not disturb. Good job. Right. So what was very interesting is recently Rebecca she had an interview with a Japanese article magazine on this, and it was revealed that there's going to be another open world that's going to be revealed during TennoCon. Now, this could always be down to translation, or there could be something new to it, or I don't know. Personally, I think that they're going to treat Railjack as the new open world, as the way that they described it was Warframe's equivalent to Sea of Thieves. Now, I've never played Sea of Thieves. I don't know what the experience is truly like. I know that Sea of Thieves started out very lackluster to begin with. So, yeah.
Would it maybe be the Plains of Dufiri or whatever that's called? Like they
Plains of Dufiri. It's possible. I mean, the interesting thing that the way that they're spelling planes, it could be considered more of an astral plane or an aeroplane sort of thing, as opposed to flat land. So it's very interesting. Maybe they've colonized a chunk of the void. If they have, that would be really awesome, because the earliest you would get to it would be Phobos in the Star Trek. I think Phobos is the first planet that allows you to get to any part of the void.
All right, so question to you then, when it comes to, let's say that these Plains of Dufiri were planes in the void, would you
Sure.
want to see them be revealed at TennoCon? And if you would want to see them be revealed, would you want it to be the main spectacle? Would you want it to be in between Railjack and the New War? Or would you want it to be at the end of both of these more in-depth looks at the things that we already know about? And then, final question, like I'm putting all three together. If it's going to be revealed, when should it come out? In what order?
So I think this is part of a problem, because when do you know the classic reactionary picture between Daniel the Demon, DK Diamantes, and Frozen Balls during the reveal of what's the name of the dang thing?
Was it the Plains of Island one? Because
Yes.
I think I remember something. I
Yeah,
can't
so it
reenact
was-
it, but I remember the one you talked about.
So, like, basically, I think one of them was covering their mouth like this. One of them was like, "Oh my god," and the other one was like, "Oh my god," sort of thing. So there was the three of them, and it was like it really did spread around on social media quite a bit, and was quite a iconic image of the player reaction within the Warframe community. But the thing that I never truly get is how players can, or how the community can react like this. Now, this might just be me. This might be the fact that I'm an old senile git and find no pleasure or joy in anything. Don't get me wrong. I love the reveals and everything. But another case of this was when I was in when we were at TennoCon last year. This is where you're going to tell me it was you all along. We were at TennoCon last year, and they were doing the reveal for the new war, and you saw the solar system. That was the first shot of the new war trailer, and there was someone that was a good, I don't know, 20 to 30 meters away from me, screaming at the top of his voice, "It's Tau! It's Tau!" And like, all I wanted to do was sort of like pause the actual trailer, stand up, turn to the guy and say, "Dude, calm down, right? We haven't actually seen anything yet. It's currently a spinning solar it's like galaxy. Ooh, Tau is in our galaxy. This doesn't make sense for it to be Tau."
That was 100% not me. I was really,
Yeah, okay.
I was kind of excited because it was also like sitting like kind of in the front seat. And I was like, well, let me just like be excited because they're also looking for reactions, and I was like, well, let me see how this goes. But yeah, no, I was the guy that was screaming breathtaking the entire time, and I never caught on. This one guy comes around and E3 just steals my line, and
Yeah.
I was so mad about that. But no, like this is the thing when it comes to TennoCon hype for me, and I think it's interesting for us like to go into when it comes to like things falling flat. How does something fall flat? And it's kind of like when it either doesn't meet up to expectations, or like the initial "oh my god" just like falls down very very fast, and it's like, wow, this is not really what I had anticipated. So I talked with you before the stream. Like, we had a pretty interesting discussion before the stream, because we always do. Like, yesterday we had the 3 days ago, I don't know, when we did the weekly Warframe watch through, when Xandy and Joey just like went away for a break. We just started doing like a FrameCast 6.5 or so about Legal Stadia. However, anyway, I'm moving away from the point. See, TennoCon, my thing with TennoCon is that it's fun, but basically what I feel that TennoCon is, aside from meeting people that you interact with within Warframe, which I think is, like, for me, the main feature why I went these 2 years. Like, the main thing about TennoCon is Tenno Live, and that is basically their announcements, their kind of advertisement as to what they're gonna do. And they're not really giving you anything, they're just telling you what they're gonna do. And it's exciting. However, I found every single time, at the end of the day, you're like, oh my god, this is so cool. Like, the way that they bring it across, like the way that you have 2,000 people around you that are just going nuts around like a gate opening. It's like, it does something with you. Like having the crowd around you is like, oh my god, it's so exciting. Until you boot up Warframe and there's nothing there. It's like, well, this is just the same old Warframe that I remember. Nothing has really changed. And I think that's something that I've kind of gotten to know when it comes to reveals without an actual launch. When it just comes to like announcements, it's like announcements can be really, really exciting, but there's nothing there yet. It's just
Can I?
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't mean to jump on your shoes, or tread on your toes. But basically, so now this Nassif in chat has said something that I just want to quote out, and then I want to follow up with Borderlands. Right. So he says, "I'm not sure who has more of a hype problem. DE hyping things so far in advance, or the players for reading into things, into those reveals, and bigging them up more than they ever could be." Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to say something in terms of Borderlands 3. Right.
Mm-hmm.
The more and more Borderlands 3 kind of gets shoved in my face, the more I don't care. Right. I found Borderlands 2 to be, yes, it was a quality of life improvement, but this is going from like, I don't know, here's the Plains of Eidolon to here's the Plains of Eidolon where you can pick up quests out in the plains. This isn't a revolutionary advancement that a lot of people tend to treat these games as. So when you actually see articles like the PC Gamer, yes, the PC Gamer one, where basically they lambasted the Fortuna update to saying that it's grindy and messy, and they just want to force you into playing it as opposed to giving you access to the new stuff straight away. I thought, hold the F on right now. That was exactly the same as the Plains of Eidolon update. That the stuff you are complaining about now was in that as well. So why are you only complaining about it now? And that's why I feel that games that seriously overhype themselves, seriously oversell themselves, like Borderlands 3. I mean, to be honest, I'm not expecting anything different from Borderlands 3 that wasn't already there effectively in Borderlands 2, right? They've shown some tech demos, but likewise with Warframe, right? We had Melee 2.0. Melee 2.0 originally was supposed to be just some animations. It wasn't meant to be the whole combo system that we ended up getting, which is why it took months to eventually come out, because the players read so much into it, right? They did the teaser reveal of Excalibur Umbra with the sacrifice like months and months before they actually released it, and it was such a cryptic teaser with did it actually have the Skiajati in it? I don't think it had the Skiajati. It just
I
had like
think
a
it was
Nakana.
Nikana, yeah.
Yeah, it was just a Nakana. So, it was there's Umbra, right? And then people for months pushed so hard on where's the sacrifice? Where's the sacrifice? Where's the sacrifice? Where's the sacrifice? I'm not hearing it so much with the new war. Yes, I have heard people say, where's the new war? But it's not that big an issue, I don't think. But I do feel that it's more the players overhyping something, saying it's going to be the best thing in the universe. Hell, I've seen content creators, say, "Oh, Anthem's going to be the best game ever when it finally gets released in 1 week's time." I'm like, no, that was a mess. That was a train wreck.
It was.
You either bought to say that, or you don't know a train wreck before it happened.
I think Anthem just had a lot of people anticipating things would just like didn't happen. I thought Anthem was going to be great because Warframe's excuse has always been like, oh, it's a small company. They don't have the money to make things. And so I was like, well, if EA is going to do it, they better do it right. But yeah, that was my misjudgment. I did not actually come out and say that it was like the greatest thing ever. But
No.
yeah, right here,
I wasn't saying.
as you can see, it is actually the Nakana right here. It's not the Skiyajati in the
Yeah.
trailer. But what you were saying, I think we talked about the PC Gamer article like in a previous podcast. I think it's the same thing. I can totally understand why they criticize Fortuna for things, because when the new iPhone came out for the very first time, people didn't rush to the stands to say like, well, we can do so much more with Android, or well, the battery's kind of shit. When like, you know, when the second one came out, everyone was ready to like talk about that. So I think that when the Plains of Ireland came out, it was such a like revolutionary thing that, of course, like you just go, oh my god. And then the second time it's like, okay, well, we have a point of reference. Actually, on that note, how did you feel, because you were there for, well, both the Plains of Ireland and the Fortuna, and I know 2016 had the War Within. However, the War Within we kind of already knew about. I think that 2017 actually set the tone of Tenno Lives being big announcements, because previously spectacular things, because 2016 they even had like a live Q&A and stuff like that. So how did you feel being there being there yourself in person, comparing the 2017 reveal towards the 2018 review? How much impact did it have on you? Like, how did you feel when you compare both of them, Fortuna versus Plains of
Ireland? I thought the Plains of Eidolon reveal was pretty cool, but I've got to be honest, the Fortuna one carried so much more weight for me. The fact that you'll be able to actually transition between, oh god, Fortuna, so Orb Valis. I can never remember the name Orb Valis. Such a weird, quirky name. Going between Orb Valis and Railjack, to me, it was just like holy bees. That's crazy awesome. But I don't feel that people who thought that the Plains of Eidolon being the greatest thing ever was that justified, because nearly every single time the second iteration of the product is a vast improvement over the first one, right? So we got rid of the incursion system, which could break quite easily, as indicated by a 24-hour planes run done by two British morons. We got the new 5-star. Well, is it 4-star? The GTA threat level stuff that happened with Orb Valis that wasn't in the planes, right? Again, that's a vast improvement. The size of the map wasn't that important, but the complexity of the map, right? So a lot of the planes, the problem is that it feels very very like not linear, very simple, very easy to digest. You feel like, oh cool, I'm going over here again. Oh look, it's that decaying sentient corpse. Oh look, it's the pond we go fishing in all the time. You know, it felt very samey. But with Orb Valis, it felt that even though you're visiting the same places again and again and again, the places were so much more complex that it was still kind of not breathtaking, but at least refreshing whenever you went to these places. So that was a huge improvement, right? So I preferred personally the 2018 reveals for Orb Valis, regardless of Railjack being bolted on top. I preferred that than I did the 2017 reveals of Plains of Idol.
No. So I agree with you on that. Railjack sold Fortuna for me more than Plains of Eidolon. The second thing that sold it for me was the story of the Fortuna people. That like the way that the song introduced them, like we actually had a reason to go there. I felt that
Yeah.
there wasn't really a story arc when it came to Plains of Eidolon. However, those two things sold Fortuna for me because the rest of it was things that we'd already seen, and I always describe Fortuna as the way that Plains of Eidolon should have been. So Plains of Eidolon for me was a big thing because it was like, oh my god, it's something new. And then Fortuna was great because it was what Plains of Eidolon should have been, but that didn't make it that much greater for me because it's like, well, we've already seen this, and this is how it should have been. So it's like it's nice, but it's not something completely new, which is fine. However, I think that when it comes to the two things that sold Fortuna for me, we did get some story, but I think that the story on Fortuna has been very slowly progressing, and I don't know whether they're ever gonna like finish things up. Like I think it would have been really nice to have like a kind of like progression system in there, because when I came into Fortuna for the first time, I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. Like these people need help. We need to buy off their debts. We need to defeat Nev Anyo. Like people are being like kidnapped now, and now we're here rescuing them. And the first time you're in there for the first week buying debt bonds, like we're making progress. We're helping them out. And now it's like, well, how the hell are you guys getting into debt? I don't even know, man. And like, you know, like the fact that like we still have to do bounties, like it just doesn't feel like you're impacting things like what you would have in a division, where if you play a division, either Division 1 or Division 2, you come into this map full of like enemy units, and you gotta like unlock strong points, and you gotta unlock like health centers and stuff like that to like get the city going again, and you see that influencing your progress over time, so like it carries the story along. And even the spiders that we take down, which is like a cool thing, is like you take them down, but the next time you boot into Fortuna, both the spiders are back, and it's like, okay, well that didn't do shit. So kind of like the story, I don't think like we've had much progression in there, and Railjack isn't out yet. So for me, I think that if I'm getting progressively more skeptical with every release, because I'm like, well, you know, we're seeing great things, but we're not really seeing them come to fruition, or not within a year at least. So how would you feel if, when it comes to like, we were talking about overhyping, we were talking about the hype kind of when it comes to Borderlands making you less interested in the thing, how would you feel if TennoCon, instead of announcing something and then releasing it half a year later, just as a hypothetical idea, would announce Fortuna or whatever thing comes out and then release it the next week? That it's like, this is what's coming, and it will be here next week. How do you think that would like work as a marketing strategy? Because I think that TennoCon draws a lot of attention, and it would be great if you could like immediately put that to use, and you don't have a long bridge time over which people can like come up with insane fantasies as to what it could be, but what most likely will not be.
I think that if that happens, it wouldn't work as well as if you were to leave it a month, right? So one of the important things is making sure people are aware of stuff, right? For example, I'm going to start saying that we seriously need to do more to hype not hype, but get it out there that we do these episodes on Tuesdays, right? Because genuinely, for everyone's benefit, both Michelle and I completely forgot that we were supposed to actually do the FrameCast until about 30 minutes before we were due to do the FrameCast. That's no fault. We've been very busy, right? Hell, I've trudged around Birmingham for 4 hours today. I hate shopping, by the way. I absolutely hate it with a passion. I trudged around Birmingham today to sort out all my travel stuff to go to Canada. And, I get home, I take my cleaner out for lunch and things because he's done a lovely job. And I get home from that, and I just flop. I just collapse. And I end up sleeping for an hour and a half. No, just an hour, because I'm so tired. and then realizing, oh shoot, I'm supposed to do. I was getting ready to do some programming, and right. So, but this is the important thing, right? Currently, we have 18 lovelies watching us live right now, which is great. We love you all, genuine, right? And I am trying to make sure that we talk to you in chat while we do the episode, right? But the big thing is that we could probably get more of you lovelies out into this live recording if we actually pimped the live recording more, right? Likewise, so the comparison here is that with Warframe, when they actually do a big reveal, right, it's important to give enough lead time so that enough people know that this stuff is coming to watch out for it. So if they go, oh, Railjack will be out next week, and then you find out that that was 3 weeks ago, you're like, oh, okay, so I've missed the big reveal about it. Whereas, it's why cinema, when you go to actually watch a movie and things, they don't hype up the movie the week before. They hype up the movie 6 months to a year before it's due to be released, right? Hats off to the Russo brothers for Avengers Endgame, though, because they kept that, zipped. You never found out anything about that movie. So, but you get my point. The point is that I don't think it could play well to the marketing strategy of saying it now and then a week later releasing it. I think there should be at least a month in between.
That oh, hold on, is that working? There you go. I mean, that makes sense. Like, I can understand that, especially when it comes to people that pick up late on things, late on news. Like, not everyone is on point with everything, and I can fully understand that, being in that position sometimes myself. Also, a little in between before I get back is that we have a great announcement, but I just completely forgot. But we now have this podcast live on all the possible podcast platforms, like Apple Podcasts, like iTunes thing, Google Podcasts, like all the things you can think about. So if you want to listen to it, it's there as well. So I want to distinguish this discussion a little bit from that death stream overhype, because we've already talked about overhyping. We've already talked about that when it comes to hype, overhyping something is kind of it's down to the developer for over promising something. If they don't deliver to that promise, then they hype too much, and it's up to you, to the consumer or the viewer, to make sure that you're always critical of it. And if you decide to make more out of something you see and you're then disappointed, it's kind of onto you as well. So when you see just a piece of sentient and it's like, oh my god, it's Tau, then that's kind of on you. So I kind of want to distinguish that because we've already touched on that. But we're talking about will TennoCon fall flat, and I'm kind of wondering, the reveal. Will the reveals fall flat? So what would TennoCon, what would the reveals require for you, Xeno, and also everyone in chat, to not fall flat? What would be the minimum viable product for TennoCon reveals for you to say, good job, perfect, or not perfect, but good job, that's acceptable?
Okay, so for me, more integration with Railjack. I want to know how we go from your standard play of solar system missions to getting into the Railjack, right? There was this big talk that I really wish he was literally 4-5 feet away from me and I didn't pay attention. There was this big talk with Steve at a park where he was talking about he really wanted to make sure that players were no longer going to loading screens and things like this. And I completely get that, but I really want to understand this integration of Railjack to everything else. So if they reveal that, that's, one check, right? Next, how many environments is Railjack going to get? Next, how many mission types is Railjack going to get? Next, how many players can actually participate in Railjack, right? So I want more detailed information about Railjack. If they can show off a demo of it, cool. I imagine they would. I can't imagine them. I imagine that they're currently right now, this very second, practicing to their heart's content, trying to make sure everything's all right. Actually, I think yesterday was a holiday for Canada because it's their
Mm-hmm.
anniversary, the 1st of July. But I know that there are plenty of people in the DE offices actually working for the town. Like, hats off to dedication. Seriously, like that's impressive. That really is impressive. Anywho, so that's that. For the new war, I want to see more of the environment. I want to see more tiles. I want to see more enemies. I actually want to see actual enemy units for the new war. I would say I'd love to see a new gameplay feature reveal, but I think that's always nice to you complete the mission and then all of a sudden you have your operator or oh no, now you can walk around as your operator. So I think that is best as a complete surprise. So yeah, I'd love to know, but it is what it is. But I'd like to also have a sort of like a lore fragment from the reveals. So like maybe just a couple of lines of dialogue. So, but that is what would not fall flat for me when it comes to the TennoCon reveals. Not necessarily make me jump out of my chair and start screaming it's Tau.
Well, like that. Now I want to know. What I want to know. What would make you scream out your chair? It's Tau, because maybe we can make it happen. Like let us know what you need so that we can make you jump out of your chair screaming it's Tau.
I genuinely don't think there's anything.
Isn't there anything like it doesn't matter how crazy? Like what would be if we presented you with that on the stage of Tenno Live, would make you jump out of your chair and say, "It's Tau."
I'm not that kind of person. That's the big thing. Like when I'm in a cinema and things like that, and there's something funny said and or done, and like one or two people laugh or whatever, I'm just like, shut up, I'm trying to enjoy the movie. I'm really reserved in when it comes to overexpression. So but anyway, let's turn it on the head. What about you?
Yeah.
What would be the minimum viable requirements for you to say that it didn't fall flat?
All right. So for me, it's a tough one, because I think that when it comes to like the minimal viable product of a Tenno live stream, of like a live show, I think what you described is pretty much the minimum viable product of what that is. If they don't reveal details about Railjack, if they don't tell us more about how the loading screens might work, how to squat this made up, how many tile sets there will be, I actually think that when it comes to the tile sets, I would love for there to be more than 3 tile sets, because if it's just 3 tile sets, which I think it might very well be, you're gonna go for them like crazy. The first in the first week you've kind of seen all of them, depending on how they're introduced and how big they are. But that aside, I think that if they don't give more detailed information about Railjack, if they don't give a little more details, or maybe a new trader thing of the new war, then what is your Tenno Life? So I think that that's pretty clearly a minimal viable product of Tenno Live. And yeah, I agree with that. The thing that I'm thinking about though is that, as much as I would say, yeah, 1%, if they showed up, it's alright, I don't know how it would stack up against the last 2 years where it was something brand new, because it's more details. How does that compare? It's kind of, as a comparison, oh yeah, go ahead.
Just to jump on that quickly, I want to point out that Fortuna was announced months before.
We knew about the Plains of Venus, but we saw a couple of screenshots of it, but we didn't know about the Solaris, and we didn't know about the story behind it.
I think we also had a walkthrough, very brief walkthrough through the environment without the proper lighting and things like that. I mean, I've got to remember the difference between what
Between what
we
you've
saw as a
seen and
and what I saw when I went there. But anyway, so I just want to point that out before you continue
yeah.
with your point.
Yeah, but in general, I knew about Planes of Venus, but not much more than there would be Planes of Venus. Like the rest of it, like the way the story was going to be told, the way that missions were going to be done, I didn't know about that. I didn't know about cage drives and stuff like that. So, see, the way that I would compare this to is, like, I've already been talking about Apple today, so let's continue on that line. If Apple releases an iPhone 10, and everyone's like, oh my god, brand new design, that's amazing, and like people lose their minds. And then like they pretty much present the phone and they tell everything that's in the phone and they tell everything about the phone, and everyone just like, oh my god, that's insane. Then if they release the next year, what they always do is like they release a Model S, which is just like the exact same phone with a few upgraded internals. Like they do the same thing. Like their announcement stream or their announcement event is just the same minimal viable product where they're like going over all the information that they have, all the specs on it, all the things they changed, all the new things that you might be able to do with it. But it's less of a thing because everyone's like, well, like, yeah, it's just like the same thing. It's just a little bit better, but, you know, we all know that's then the next year will be the bigger thing. So, because we've had the precedent of 2 years of, wow, if you were to ship a minimum, I don't know whether the minimum viable product will be enough. And the hard thing, the thing that I'm stumbling into with that is that I know myself that I'm getting a little bit more cynical over time. Where I'm like, well, I'd rather see things in the game that I'd like to like know about them like before, because like you just announced something, but I don't have anything, so who knows where it's coming out. And last year we saw Railjack, but who knows? Maybe it's coming out next year. So it's like I don't know whether that's me. So like it's pretty hard for me to like figure out how like whether it will or will not in general be less well received, but I can totally see that happen. And jumping on something that Sakuma said, one thing that I would absolutely love instead of this being something new, because we already know like this is not something new, I would like go hell yeah if they give us a release date where they, if they would just be like Railjack coming September, coming October, if they would just say that, and then I'll be like, that's good.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So one thing I want to quickly follow up on what you just said about minimum viable product, right? Because I've had this happen on YouTube comments a few times now, or in Discord chats, and I hold no one in any form of how do I say this? What's it called? Trying to think of a word here that says I don't think anything less of you for not understanding what minimum viable product means, right? So one important understanding of minimum viable product. Okay, you have a door, yeah? Minimum viable product, it needs to open, right?
Mm-hmm.
It needs to close. Yeah. If the door doesn't open or close, it's a failure, and it's not a minimum viable product. You need to be able to lock the door. Okay, so that's upping the minimum viable product. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can't lock the door, then it doesn't meet MVP. Okay, you shouldn't be able to see through the door. Again, that's increasing the MVP. You shouldn't be able to walk through the door. That increases the MVP. You shouldn't be able to break the door. That's increasing the MVP.
I've seen people come forward and confuse your minimum viable product statements with Casino is just talking about the minimum effort thing, and I think that's not the thing. It's about what does it need to be at the least to be acceptable.
Exactly right. That is what it means to be an MVP, a minimum viable product, right? So with Railjack, it needs to have proper integration. It needs to be able to have multiple mission types, not just one. It needs to be able to be usable across the star chart, not just over Venus. It needs to be able to have seamless integration with your clans and dojos. It needs to be able to, there's so many things that make it the minimum viable product, right? So the minimum viable product is like, what is the least work you can do to make it acceptable, right? So when you were saying, is the minimum viable product good enough? The whole point is that that's not exactly what you said. I can't remember exactly what you said.
Okay, so maybe I hinted at that, but I want to put my minimum viable product, because our question is, will it fall flat? So the minimum
Yes.
viable product of not falling flat. Like,
Yeah.
what is the minimum viable product? Because like, you could have like, I think we were talking. This might have been a confusion. I think we were talking about a minimum viable product of a Tenno live stream, of a TennoCon reveal. But
the big thing was, what you were saying was accurate, but the point was, you said it 2 seconds ago, your minimum viable product, right? So what you expect as the MVP may not necessarily be what DE delivers. Yeah. So you may expect more, and that is why it's a. Whereas you might have a minimum viable product, and then they deliver more as their minimum viable product, and thus you are happy. Yeah. So it's what your expectations are compared to what they deliver.
So then how would we be able to classify whether something is a successful Tenno Live or TennoCon reveals, and whether TennoCon reveals fall flat? Because I agree, a lot of it is individual expectations, and if I expect absolutely nothing, then and something shows up, then that's an instant success for me. So how would we, if we want to like proceed in this discussion, determine how we can measure whether it might fall flat or not? Because if we can't measure that, and it's totally up to like what everyone thinks, then like we're done talking, I think.
So I think, for a start, there's one thing to take into consideration. I don't think that DE would be mental enough to pull a BlizzCon 2018 Diablo Immortals reveal, right? That was so heavily driven by the publisher and not the dev team or anything like that. So the next important thing is, I think the community that are stood at or sat in front of Tenno Live, they are going to be super excited for anything. They're at TennoCon, so their expectation factor has been already like decreased by 50 points, because they're super excited just to be there in person, right? So I think that it's not the people that are there that would be the best judge of, did it fall flat. I think the people that aren't there, people like yourself who will watch it live, will be the best judges of whether or not it has fallen flat, right? But I think it needs to be on a community level. Yeah, you yourself can't say, oh, it's awful, you can't speak that for everyone. It needs to be a general consensus. You need to measure it across the board, sort of thing, which is, it can only be done post the actual event itself. But
now we're running the risk, because I agree with you. In order to like make up whether like did or did not like fall flat entirely, like in order to like accurately make it up, you gotta look at post at it. But then like, how do we answer a question when it's not out yet? Like, how would we approach our question right now? Or are we just gonna say, well guys, hold on, we'll be back in a short break in about a week?
Okay, let us look at the facts, right?
Mm-hmm.
Fact, they said that they're not going to reveal anything new
Mm-hmm.
to do with what's it called? Any new big reveals at TennoCon, right? Which is what made me think that the whole article saying that there's a new open world is actually indicative of Railjack
Mm-hmm.
rather than, oh look, we now have planes of the void, right, or planes of Deviri, or whatever, wherever the planes
Yeah.
is, planes of Deviri is. But fact, they've said that they're not going to do any new big reveals, right? Fact, to me, I don't need to see a new reveal in order to feel that it was a satisfactory Tenno Live, right? So my question to you, do you think that, and to the audience, right, while you're answering, everyone in chat, please say, um, do you think there needs to be something new, completely off the cuff, like Plains of Eidolon was, like Railjack was? Do you need something new in order to consider it a successful reveal? Or are you satisfied if they just go into more detail about the upcoming stuff?
I would say I don't need anything new, but instead, I would like to have more information than we were given with Fortuna. So if we compare Railjack to Fortuna, the amount of information that we got when it came to Fortuna, I want to have more information with Railjack than we have with Fortuna because we're losing like the element of surprise. So instead, I want to have more information and maybe more showable gameplay or anything with Railjack instead.
Right. So we've had a few people reply very briefly, very quickly. It's like, come on, guys, more of you can reply. Anyway, so we've had okay, so we've had 5 people now. Yeah, okay. So pretty much a general consensus is we don't need anything brand spanking new out of the gate. We just need more detail at least. And as long as we get that, I don't think the reveals will fall flat, right? But we are a minority of the Warframe community. We are a small subset. We are technically 18 people in this chat. Oh, okay, we've got one person saying that they would prefer something new, but they'd be happy enough with just deepening of something known. Hi, Char. So yeah.
So when it comes to something new, because I don't want to rule it out because it might be, like,
Yeah.
every time we kind of had something new which people didn't expect. Let's say the Sacrifice teaser at the end of 2017, and then we had the New War at the end of 2018. If they introduce something new, and it would be something that would take center stage over Railjack and New War, what would you feel? Like, it's a little bit a vague one, but like, how would you feel about that?
I think what you're asking me is if I had creative directional lead for Warframe, what would I do as my crazy out there reveal?
Not necessarily. It's more like, to me, I feel that if they want to go with something new, which is just speculation, like let's say that they were to release something new and it's like, this is coming out in August because, you've all been keeping tabs on Railjack and New War, but here you go, in secret, we've been working on this and this is coming out, and Railjack and New War coming out at some point. I think it's either going to be insanely good, on which I want to add a note that, to me, Plains of Eidolon and Fortuna were great, but not insane. Like, Fortuna was already like, okay, yeah, I've kind of seen them. Plains of Eidolon wasn't the insane, oh my god, this really changed everything. I will be disappointed in a sense, because then Railjack and New War get pushed back even further, and I wouldn't like that, because then I would probably be way more cynical of continuous like announcements, because, well, when are they ever gonna come out? Then we kind of like, because Railjack and New War would then become the New War within, which kind of like announced, but then everything is from in front of it, if you can understand.
So it's, I would hope that they don't reveal anything new, because they have got plenty on their plate right now. Because I remember, I'm pretty sure that, oh god, what was the name of the thing? Railjack was supposed to, in theory, come out at the end of last year, right? And again, it's been held off. Why has it been held off? We don't know, right? Hopefully there'll be more details or whatever. Maybe they decided that to put the brakes on it a bit. I mean, we had that with the sacrifice. I swear, if the sacrifice, if the community wasn't kicking off about the sacrifice being before TennoCon 2018, then DE would have gotten us, oh god, Fortuna, probably, when do I want to say? September. We got it in November, didn't we?
Yeah, we got in November.
Yeah. I think they could have gotten Fortuna to us end of August, early September, if they didn't stop working on Fortuna and started working on Valis, on the sacrifice instead, right? So I think one of the big reasons why they wouldn't want to do a brand new reveal is to make sure that none of the current existing stuff isn't derailed. And one thing I hope isn't happening is resources within the studio are getting shuffled around constantly. Oh, we need to do a bit more on the New War. Oh, we need to do a bit more on Railjack. Oh, we need to do a bit more on New War. Like, I'm sure they got their heads firmly screwed on their bodies and things, and they know exactly what they're doing. But I think we do need to have a big content drop towards the end of August, early September, at least.
Yeah, I'm a big proponent, I've said this before on streams, that Railjack needs to come out earlier than Fortuna was last year, because I feel that we've missed an update this year. Like, we had update 25, which, like, it was an update number, and I think we discussed that it kind of warrants a number because it has something, but it wasn't a... Let's just say that it didn't come with a Twitch drop event, which the Sacrifice did, which the Plains Final did, which Fortuna did. I don't think it's a big update. It was a pretty sizable update, but it wasn't a big update. So I feel like we've missed an update this year. Like, in the first half of the year, we didn't have a big update, in my opinion, and that's why.
Know. Like, sorry, I'm interrupting you a lot this
go
episode.
ahead.
Do you want me to stop? Okay. I genuinely think that the Jovian Concord is a big update. We've had an event, right? We haven't had a proper event in freaking months. Certainly we had more frequent Twitch drops than we've had events, so I'm happier for that. I do feel that the update to the the Jupiter tile set may, in fact, lead to other stuff. I like the fact that it actually leads on the story just by going to the new Jupiter rework, regardless of whether or not it's actually a quest in and of itself. So, we're now getting more stage direction of what the new war will be. We're not just going to get a straight jump from, what's the name of the thing? What is the name of the damn thing? The Sacrifice to the new war, right? Because, Space Mama, she left us and everything with the Apostasy prologue. We then, she's all corrupted and been mind controlled and everything, and run away with Ballas, and now Ballas is like, oh no, things are bad, and then all of a sudden in the new wars, I'm gonna kill you. Like, where did that come from? But at least with the Ropadopalist fight, you can actually go there and you can actually get those sound bites that do highlight that this stuff is actually happening.
All right, I'm trying to figure this out because I partially like I want to agree with you, and I want to dissect as to why I agree with you, and then I want to like try and explore why I still think that we missed out on something. So let's go to why I think you have got a point that we've actually had like a content drop, like we've a big update. Like it's weird, we don't have the terminology of it, but like a akin to the Sacrifice update as compared to last year. So if we compare the Sacrifice to Jovian Concord, with Jovian Concord we got a rework of a tileset. Now I don't necessarily think that a rework of a tileset is something brand new. I think reworks are great, but they're not brand new content. However, it did change things to parkour, and we got a new mission mode, and we got a new assassination mission, where in that assassination mission there was spoken lore. There wasn't cutscenes, but it was spoken lore, and there was a decent bit of it. So we had a new mission mode. We had a couple of like new brand new tiles being added to it. We had new rooms to it. We had new places to explore to it. We had new parkour system, like kind of like new parkour elements to it, and we had a new boss fight. And then we also had an operation to it. So that's a bit of stuff. That's a decent bit of stuff. If you compare that to the Sacrifice, in the Sacrifice we did get some cinematic cutscenes. We had some story. We had some voice lines. We only had like 1 or 2 new tiles that were being added. Like most of it was retold for existing storylines, story beats, and like
tiles,
and like it was also like very set in the same scenes. So it wasn't, I don't think, Sacrifice compared to the War Within or the second Dream when it came to the Legacy. Like the Legacy was very little. So I think that when
Could you define Legacy?
So the Legacy, so like when it comes to Legacy, is what does it leave behind?
Yeah.
And when it came to the Second Dream left the Legacy of the Second Dream was the operator and their focus system, and we also had the Moon tile set, and then the War Within had the use of the operator. I think the amps, well, I don't think we had the amps at the time, but like the use your focus beam, and we had the Kuva Fortress. So there was a lot to be done after the War Within. After the Sacrifice,
we also had Rivens.
Yeah, we also had Rivens. The Rivens was a big thing to be added. So the Legacy of the Sacrifice was little. So I think that the content dropped there. Like, in terms of content, the Jovian Concord might even, like, overcome the Sacrifice.
Yeah.
So, that's where I think you have a point. Like, if I compare the two, maybe the Jovian Concord was even bigger. Now, I'm trying to explore as to why it didn't feel to me like that. And I think that partly, it might be because Jovian Concord was the Jupiter rework set, which is, like, it feels different than when it comes to the new quest. When it came to the Sacrifice, we had a build-up page, like we had hints being thrown around. We had teasers of teasers. Then we had a trailer. Then we had a week of Twitch drops that came along with it. It was promoted. I don't want my opinion of it just to be because of the promotion, but if I'm trying to think about it, I think that like the only reason why I feel the Sacrifice was big was because of the promotion they did, and like it sounds bad, but like that's the only thing I can think of right now. Yeah.
Well, it's okay. So you have a really strong, valid point, right? Is the promotion of the actual update the thing that makes you think more about it, which is, it brings us back to the whole circle of, if they actually announced, hey, look, the what's called Railjack's going to come out in a week's time, is that good enough promotion, right? So I think if the Jovian Concord maybe got more promotion than the sacrifice, you would be spinning a completely different story, which is very interesting to me, genuinely, that you feel that the sacrifice carried more weight.
It felt as though it was like a big thing where like we'd all been waiting on the sacrifice. We knew it was coming. It was like, here's a quest, and the quest like revealed something big. Okay, so actually, like, I feel really bad. Like, I'm like, I don't want my opinion just to be based on marketing, and I think I found some things attitude. So like, we knew the sacrifice was coming as a quest, and we didn't know anything about the sacrifice as a quest.
Mm-hmm.
And I think when it comes to like a rework, I'm generally like, well, it's going to look better, fine. And I didn't quite expect it to be new story being added to it. I just thought it was going to be a rework, like just updated tiles with like a Warframe with it. And then there was like a nice surprise of a couple of lines, but the sacrifice changed the game partly in Warframe because of what was revealed about Umbra, because what was revealed about Warframes, about what was revealed about the past of the Rogan. It was a new chapter. Even I don't think it was the strongest chapter in the 3 big chapters that we've had, but it was a big chapter, which is one of the things where it's like, hey, if you're new to Warframe, go do the second dream, go do the war within, go do the sacrifice. I would not say to a new player, when you come into the game, go do these bosses and then go do the Rhodopolis. It's like, you'll get there. Like it's an important element, but I'm not gonna say to someone, hey, you're brand new to Warframe, oh my god, I cannot wait until you do the Apostasy Prologue. You gotta do the Apostasy Prologue. I would say, do the second dream, do the Warden, do the sacrifice. I think that because of like the lore that was shown to it, because it was like this third chapter of like the trilogy, it helped more weight to it. And I mean, the Lotus was a confirmation of, I mean, at least to me, the Lotus was a confirmation of what I already knew. It was like, yeah, you didn't like us. I was wrong to trust you. But yeah. So I think that might be, yeah, like another thing. But I think marketing has a strong point to it, and I'm I'll admit that, because like I don't want to. I'm not here to like bullshit, because that's not going to help anything. But like I feel shit about that, because yeah, that was all marketing, and that's that plays into your head. So yeah, but yeah, okay, yeah, interesting.
Well, I think another point is that there is that lingering feeling that you've been to Jupiter before. Oh, look, it's Alad V again. There are so many. Okay, yeah, it's a nice new tile set. Okay, you've got these amalgam enemies, but there's still that core feeling of it's still Jupiter.
Yeah,
which I think is going to go against it as a major update, because even though, so with the sacrifices, like, you know, we had reused tiles, but the narrative was entirely new. We actually fought Ballas, we fought Umbra, we had confirmation that Drew was right and that the Warframes are people. And so the I think there was a big, huge, heavy dump with the sacrifice that we didn't necessarily get with the Jovian Concord, but there was still a lot to the Jovian Concord on the legacy side of things.
I think you
maybe it was all legacy.
I think you hit a very good point there when it comes to Jupiter wasn't new. Because I was preparing when it came to like the Jovian Concord, I was just preparing to be like, we'll run around, look at the tiles, be like, oh, that's funny, and then just like never look at it again. Because why would I, as a like end game player, be interested in going back to like a planet where it's like level whatever, low level? Like, I barely come there. Why would I go back to it? So it was like, oh hey, they actually have something that's interesting, and it's actually pretty good. Instead of, all right, let's get ready for the sacrifice. Yeah. I'm trying to think as to, like, I'm a big proponent. I think I saw Omer say in chat that I'm always happy. Like he said something along the lines of like, I'm super excited to like learn about and see a new Warframe and learn about the abilities as I play with it. But the dev stream kind of kills that because I'll know about it weeks in advance. It's one of the reasons why I barely watching dev streams, because I really like the excitement about learning about something new once it's in the game. And one of the major things when it comes to Warframe doing that is the second dream. And I think that the sacrifice was one of the things that we talked about earlier. It's kind of like people were making their own theories about it. We knew about it for a long time. People were kind of hyping about it. They wanted it to be out. So I'm kind of like, well, wasn't it then? Why wasn't that then a great thing that I did not expect something great to come out of Jovian Concord? Because I feel like I'm trying to make the point, or actually I try to make the point that Sacrifice felt bigger for me because of the marketing around it to a large degree, which means that like I knew about it and it was building up. But I'm also making the point right here, and I have made the point a lot in the past, that I think the Sacrifice was a great update because we didn't, the second dream was a great update because we didn't know anything about it, and rather I wouldn't want to watch dev streams because I think they're all like it's better to see when it comes to the game because that makes you more excited. So I think that's kind of like that's the conflict in my line of thinking, and like, why did that then not work the way it did for the second dream for the Jovian Concord? And I can't figure that out.
I think not to dissuade your. Okay, so let me propose a question to you. Should we bring this back to the topic at hand, which is, will the TennoCon 2019 reveals fall flat? You know, we could investigate, hey, what about the whole, oh god, what's the name of the dang thing? You know, marketing. Is marketing the updates really important? Do they need to push that more? I mean, I don't know if you saw the MOA video that they released maybe an hour before we started this.
Mm-hmm.
Did you?
I have not seen it. I've heard something about it, but I haven't seen it.
So, long story short, for anyone who hasn't seen it, D have actually commissioned a studio that builds sculptures and things to make a MOA for TennoCon, right? And apparently it's what's called the amount of plastic they used is like over a kilometer long.
Here we go.
Right, to actually. Oh, do you want to watch it now, or do you want to?
Yeah, I got it here. Do you want
Yeah,
sound with it?
Up. Yeah, just throw sound on.
Let me see whether that works. It might not. Hold on, let me change sound settings real quickly.
Customize their own unique companions using components they find in the game. At Vulpin Props.
Alright, here we go. Building a Warframe MOA.
Warframe, players can customize their own unique companions using components they find in the game. At Vulpin Props, we have 4 weeks and the combined skills of 7 artists to bring our MOA companion to life. Our MOA starts with a 3D model created at Wooden Leg Studios using ZBrush. This model needs to be split up into individual pieces, each small enough to fit inside a 3D printer. We're using 11 3D printers to create our MOA parts as quickly as possible.
Hold on, let me just skip for it. I don't know what it is. Music is copyrighted, so I don't want to get in trouble with YouTube. But
well, basically, they end up spending a month building this MOA.
Wow.
And it's absolutely mental. They show off some new techniques to actually put the pieces together, because there's some pieces that are too big for a 3D printer. They have to sand it all down and everything to make sure that they get rid of all the seams for the print job. They end up having to resin fill some of the actual parts to make sure that that it's structurally sound and things. It's like 5 foot tall. So I'm actually like, it's surprisingly large. And you know, when they're putting it all together and they paint it and everything, honestly, it looks absolutely amazing. And it's going to be on the floor. Oh god, yeah. So one of the cool things that they end up doing is, because it's actually got a steel skeleton inside it to keep the thing like upright and everything. one of the amazing things was they actually 3D printed a angle that the skeleton needed to fit in, and then they actually welded the two parts of the steel to make that joint and everything. And they were super impressed with the fact that the plastic of the 3D printed angle didn't just melt or catch fire. So that was actually really interesting on that side of things. Yeah, most people might be like, oh. But yeah, so it looks absolutely amazing. It looks so impressive, and I will certainly take pictures and things of it while there.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
if you're listening, it's just literally a life-size Moa. It's one of the companion Moas that's on like this metal stem with Warframe engraved in it. It's got like colors to it. It's of that 3D printed material, but it looks really, really good.
Yeah.
And like we're just looking at the video that shows off how it's made, and it does some like product shots. It looks really cool. Like, yeah, this is pretty awesome.
It looks amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So
how do we come to this? I'm like you were talking about it.
Well, it's all about the marketing, isn't it? It's the fact that they're going all out to really hype up like TennoCon and things like this. And this is why I feel that everyone that's actually at TennoCon itself will be super hyped about whatever the reveals are, but maybe the people at home and things watching Tenno Live, they won't feel the same way. They'll be like, it's Warframe. I don't get it. What's so important about that? You know.
So how important is it to hype up the floor? Because you're saying that these things, like a MOA like this, is being used to hype up the floor, and they do a great job, and people are going to be really hyped about it. But one thing you also frequently bring up is that we should always look at like what minorities are there into. Hey, like we can serve towards endgame players, but they're a very small part of the community. And if I'm not mistaken, there are only 2,000 people within TennoCon that are present at a time, and
I think it's 3.
There is 2,000 or 3,000, but we have at least 1 million. Like last year, they had 1 million people watching across all platforms live, and that excludes everyone that watched it afterwards. So, yeah, how important is hyping up the? But I don't even know. Like, is there a difference into like?
So this is okay. It's important, but for the wrong reasons, right? Mm-hmm. When you're at the convention itself, when I'm at the convention and I'm, experiencing the con floor and everything, I'm gonna be, oh wow, look at this mower, it's so cool. Oh wow, look, I can stand in a, God, what was the extraction point? Oh wow, well, I can stand near it. I probably wouldn't be able to fit in it. Oh, I can do the escape room, so on and so forth. And it would be great and amazing and everything. But so I just had a weird envisioning of we go do an escape room like last time, me, Loz, Joey, and Crash, but for hilarity, like we're all there with cameras recording it and not actually doing the escape room. Sorry, but the whole point
we
is
had that last year.
Well, no one did the escape room.
Oh, it was horrible. Okay, so I did it the year before with Rob, Cole, Defton, and me. Okay, and
we're going on a random tangent.
Yeah, but no. So. But that was 2 years ago. The second year we did the exact same. Rob and I did it with Mogamu, and we did it. We completed the first year, and then we said, "Mo, you do it. We'll record it," and we failed it.
Oh wow.
We failed the escape room we completed before because we were too busy filming Mo and just like letting him figure it all out, and we were just standing like, "You just figure it out." And then when time like the time was running out, we're like, "Oh shit, what do we need to do now?" And we just forgot.
Wow. But anyway, sorry. The point is that all this stuff, it makes the convention amazing. It makes the convention awesome. But the convention is not Tenno Live. Right, mm-hmm. The convention is hosting Tenno Live, but this is why everyone is going to be super jacked on happy pills or happiness, not happy pills. Sorry, that's wrong of me to say. They're going to be super jacked on the experience of the day and think that whatever they reveal at TennoCon will be absolutely amazing. Now, the question to you is, if you actually, record the reveals of TennoCon, but you silence it whenever the crowd cheers or anything like that, my question to you guys is, how much does it make you want to go, yeah, oh yeah, it's amazing, ah! Because if you don't feel that, you are the people that really determine how important these reveals are for Warframe.
I mean, the people are so important. Like, their reaction is so important in the crowd that they started putting laugh tracks to like comedy videos like ages ago. It's like, yeah, like I was just thinking about, yeah, it's. I think when you have to make decisions when it comes to like, if we do this, it will be more pleasing to the crowd, but if we do this, it will be more pleasing to 1 million people watching. They will go for the 1 million people watching. But I think generally, like, if they do something which pleases the crowd, then like it will also be helpful for the people that are watching it, because, it's like if the crowd gets hyped up, it's amazing. Let's see. Sykes mentioned you and talked about the real issue with that is the fact that DE thieves of hype, and only hype alone. Now, I
think that's supposed to be thrives.
Yeah, might be thrives. Now, in human nature standpoint, all that energy and excitement is really healthy for the devs in general, but when it comes to in-game content and mistakes, so in general, like I think the main the main thing that I want to like lift off of this is that hype is good, but like okay, so this is my main thing with TennoCon, and this is like something that I don't know how to feel about it. Is that I'm excited about the hype, but I'm also the person that after I leave TennoCon, I'm like, but there's nothing in the game. It's not there. And as we talked about in the very first podcast about what does Warframe overhypes like 4 to 5 times, like kinda. It's that I'm like, well, this will be really cool, but yeah, I need to see it in game, and that will be always the way that I step out of TennoCon. Is like, I need to see it in game, so like I can't really be hyped about it. Like, it's like, all right, that was cool, but I need to see it in game. So I don't know how I. Yeah, I kind of agree. Go ahead.
I get where you're coming from. Now, my question to the community, our viewership, our lovelies, right? If you were shown off the in-depth details to Railjack, when do you need Railjack to be delivered? When is the longest you can stave off, disappearing from Warframe for months? Do you know what I'm asking?
Yeah, like what's your maximum wait time? I think that September that September was reasonable.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about what you said when it comes to like letting people know. I think that like a month is reasonable in a sense, but then again, like this is something which is kind of conflicting. When it's like, I can totally understand that like you want to like give it a month, which like, hey guys, it's coming out, and like people can anticipate on it. But when it comes to product announcements, generally when it comes to like phones and tech, which is also something that I follow, they're very quick when they announce something. They're very quick to release it, and
yeah.
So actually, this is the thing. Okay, so hold on. I was like, I made a mistake in my thinking, because I was like, well, most of the time when they release it, like the product's out, it's not really out, but they have a date when it's out. They're like, the new iPhone, the Galaxy Fold, this thing, right here, it's out then. And like, most of the time, it's like a month. So that makes sense. It's like, they take about a month and then it will come out. So, in that regard, Warframe should also take a month, maybe 2. I would love, like, I think they can get away with 2 months, because August is most of the time a vacation month for people. Not a lot of people are around. Like, if you like, people go on holiday, so if it's September, that's good. But I think that there are two differences when it comes to like a tech release and a Warframe release, which make a tech release more exciting for me than a Warframe release when I have to compare the two. And that is that when Apple or Samsung or whatever announces a new product, in the same way that Warframe announces a new update, they will show off all the things that they want to show off, and they will overhype it, whatever, like kind of what Warframe does. But there's the big but, which makes a big difference for me, is that once they're done, and this also goes with Tesla that has a way longer wait time, the products are on the show floor. Like, you can interact with them. They're demo products, but they're on the show floor, and the people that are there can touch them, can hold them in their hands. Like reviewers will have like some units sent to them, and they can go over them, and you can see that it's a physical thing, and people already have it. Like, there will be changes, but people have it. And I feel that, for me, the thing that makes me super skeptical when it comes to Warframe 10.0 Live, at the end of the day, when I'm like, oh, I have to see it in game, is that that's the thing. I haven't seen it yet, other than their announcements, and announcements I always take with a grain of salt, because of course they're always going to show off the good elements of it. I need a second opinion, and like, you don't really get a second opinion there. You have to wait for your second opinion, and you don't even have a date until you can get that second opinion. So it's kind of like, well, I have to wait until I can kind of like judge what I've seen. And I think that is a big thing. That is a big thing for me, is that I have like this thing that they say where it's like, it's gonna be great, it's gonna be awesome, but I don't have anything to like measure that to. So like, okay, well, like, yeah, you know, it's just their word. And like, I am, because like of the way I like the scientific method, I will not take one word. I also will always want to test it against
Yes. I like where you're coming from. Don't get me wrong, I think it's brilliant. I think that there is a huge problem with, you know, taking one person's word over something else, right? I've seen reviews where people say, "Oh, this thing's amazing! It's the best thing ever," and I've bought into that. And then when it comes out and everything, it's just like, this is a pile of cack, right? That was a bought review. This isn't something that I can genuinely enjoy, which is not fair on any consumer, right? So, like, for example, Anthem, right? There were plenty of people saying like, Anthem's amazing, it's great, you know.
But did they actually play it? Did they actually like? Did they have a review where they played it before the demo weekends?
Apparently, like, some of them got flown out to America to actually try it out and everything. But the problem is, like, when you go to an event like EGX or E3 or Gamescom or whatever, you're only experiencing the game for a very short, limited scope. Right? You're only playing it for like maybe 20, 30, at most 40 minutes. Right? Like, I played the new Spider-Man game by Insomniac, and I thought it was great, but I never got to the point of the horrible, grindy elements to the game, right? Had I gotten to that, I would have been like, oh, nope, don't want to do that. Do you know what I mean? Because it just pads out the game. It doesn't actually, it's not pure gameplay or anything like that. Whereas with Warframe, okay, yeah, we don't actually get to play the new content or anything on the con floor. Fair enough. But I'd rather the way DE do it than how I went to Gamescom back in 2016, played Overwatch, thought, oh wow, this is a really cool, solid core game. I can't wait for Blizzard to actually expand upon it, which they never did. And now I'm salty as hell to the fact that they've cancelled an FPS for StarCraft in order to do Overwatch 2. I am so salty over that.
Yeah. See, the thing is I can understand your two experiences when it comes to the review, which was the Anthem reviews that said was amazing because they were like, let's just not say because, which might have been because they were flown out and because they were chosen by Anthem to review it, and the demo that you played on the floors, the con floors, which
Yep.
might have been, or actually very likely are, set up in such a way that in a short amount of time people play it and they're sold on the game. Like these demos are there to sell you on the game. They will not, because like you got to think about like demos in a way that you do not have much time on a con. Most cons are like 8 hours or something, 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day. And you want to serve as many people as possible, so you will not have an experience that's longer than 20 minutes. I think it's about 5 minutes that you're expected to sit there. So they're not going to introduce the like an hour grind. They're not going to put you in there. They're just going to be like, okay, here's the good stuff, and like of course
we need to sell you on that.
So it's an advertisement, and I think that like select people being flown out to play something, like I don't know the people that refuted. I've not seen their reviews, so I can't judge on that. Given my experience with Anthem, I think it's highly unlikely that if you're very objective, that you're going to be like, oh, this is the best game ever, unless you've seen something entirely different than what has come out so far. But that might have been like kind of like this like advertisement idea too. So I think that the way that Warframe does it right now is better than having paying people to do reviews. I say that with asterisks because like we don't know, but like it's better than doing that, or like showing a demo which is solely focused on, because like a demo which is solely like focused on ads, I just unplug my headphones. That is just exactly like a Tenno Live review. Like you don't have any additional things to that. Like what the difference is between getting a review unit in when it comes to a new phone, having a review unit to reviewers being sent to them, is that they can't really like hide things. Like they actually get a deep look into it. I don't know how that was for you, and I don't know how much you can talk about it, but like you had a somewhat decent look when it came to Fortuna before it came out. And I think that like in order for me to like be able to judge like what it even means to Tenno Live, because that's like the hard thing. It's like I don't know what it means, and like if you're throwing me more ads, like it's not gonna help me judging by what it means. And if you're throwing me like things to play which are just ads for us to play, it's like then that's just like the same thing as analyzing Tenno Live. It's not gonna help. Like we need, for me to like have TennoCon have some weight to it without having release dates, because Warframe doesn't do well with release dates. I would need to have someone, like I would say me, but well, just someone, or like a select group of like people within the industry, like reviewers within the industry, have a look at a like partially like something that they're certain will be part of the game, will be part of the release. Like it doesn't have to be like a long thing, not a specific targeted ad, and just have them go through it, and then have them be, this is it, and just give them their opinions, and then like be able to like show off some things, show them how you grind things out, instead of like this advertised like thing. Because otherwise, like if there's nothing which is like a real look at like what it is, then I'm like, well, the only way that I can figure out what Tenno Live means, the only way for me to figure out what you've told me and the way to what you've told me to what it means, I can only figure that out once it's out. So I'm just gonna sit here and be the most skeptical I can be, because if I'm the most skeptical I can be about what you just told me, then when it comes out, I will be the most excited I could be about the thing that comes out. If I'm the most excited right now, then I can never be the most excited when it comes out, because you know, the less you expect, the happier you are. The more you expect, like, you can only be less happy. So yeah, then like that is for me when it comes to Tenno Live. That will make a big difference. I just don't know how viable it is for DE to do, but for me, like, that would add weight to TennoCon. And now I don't think it does have any weight that much, because it's just the people that make it and that want to kind of sell it to me, telling me all about the good things. And I'm like, sure, like, I'd love to believe you, but I don't know.
I get where you're coming from, I really do. And I think one of the biggest things that would carry more weight for yourself or even myself is having people like, Skill Up or whomever ask the really hard, nitty gritty questions to like D Steve and so on and so forth. Just put them in a room and say, "Hey, look, this is what I'm asking of you. When do you think you'll get it out? Do you think you'll get it out before the end of the year? Is it yes, no, yes? Okay, cool. Do you think you'll get it out before November? Yes, no. Do you think you'll get it out before September? And you can gauge a reaction from that. And you don't write all the answers and things. You say like, we should have it out before November, right? And part of the problem is that because our expectations are a little all over the place, it's really difficult to truly understand what it is that DE is trying to achieve and deliver with the game, right? I mean, look at Anthem. We keep throwing Anthem under the bus with this one because I think maybe it's just such an amazing, crash test dummy with this. But like, how badly the updates have just not happened with Anthem. I know that Chardan Sierra Vitriol, who's been in chat, he still is. He's been playing it with Loz, right? And they're not getting the over amazing experience that a lot of people get with Warframe. But likewise, like, when people like the whole marketing campaign for Destiny 2 to the fact that it's going free to play. It's not going free to play. The stuff that's already been free to play is going free to play again. How is that free to play? The new content I still have to pay through the nose for. The year-old content I still have to pay through the nose for. So what's the benefit there? So marketing really does drive the hype. And maybe it's DE's attempt at this is more about getting the community to be hyped about the upcoming content, but they're more of a show don't tell than a lot of these other companies. I think that's the real thing. And I think, weirdly enough, saying this, DE is a show don't tell, they will certainly turn around, and I think the TennoCon 2019 reveals will not fall flat for that. If they go back to their 2016 ways and don't show us a thing, then
no, like I agree. I think that if they stick to showing us good stuff, good stuff is a really bad thing to say to that. Showing us new information, showing us new things about Railjack, then it has a good chance to not fall flat. And we'll just have to see what comes out of it. So yeah, wanna get into some questions?
Yeah, let's get into some questions. I think that was surprisingly just rounded off so quickly. It was just like, wow, epiphany moment.
Yay!
Everything makes sense. The world is just, oh my god, I understand the meaning of life and the TennoCon 2019 reveals. Anyway, so yeah, let's get into some questions. Does anyone in the community have anything?
Yeah, if you have any questions when it comes to like this topic or anything else, just like feel free to leave questions down below. Also, a moment ago we did have another Discord bleep. I put it on streamer mode, but like this is a weird thing about Discord. If you put it on streamer mode, like this notification bar comes up saying it's on streamer mode, and I just like close the notification bar because otherwise it shows up in your camera. And I guess when you turn off the notification mode, then it turns off the thing. I'm like, why? Like, basically I would want it to be in stream in like no stream mode the entire time. I don't want to hear a thing. So just when I click it away, just leave it on. Like, why if I close the notification, do you turn it off? That makes no sense. Discord, fix it.
Yeah, that's why for the majority of the time I'm set in the do not disturb mode, because that will not actually happen.
Actually, hold on. Let me see if we can fix that.
Yeah, so like you'll still appear as a purple dot on Discord and thing, but if you set yourself to do not disturb, then whenever someone messages you, you won't get a blip. So was that my blip to you?
Yeah, but that's
Okay.
fine. Okay, so I fixed it now. Tribal asks, will Hydroid Shredder be bigger than Endgame?
No. Nothing can be bigger than Endgame. The Endgame is so big it's coming back to the cinemas. Endgame!
How long has Endgame been in production for? I think it's been like a year or so, right? Like when Infinity War came out, then they started on it, which is like a year.
Oh, no. They started Endgame, which got at the same time as they were doing Infinity War.
So how long was that?
Oh, probably about 2-3 years.
All right, hold on. Hydroid Prime. When did Hydroid Prime come out? Hydroid Prime came out 2017. So yeah, they've been working on Hydroid Prime Trader for 2 years as well. It can be pretty insane. Like really? Like I don't expect nothing less.
Okay. Here's a question for you, right? What happens if the Hydroid Prime trailer is part of the TennoCon 2019 reveal?
Then
Would you get salty over that?
Then it doesn't matter.
I think
like
I would.
if
I would.
if they would only show the Hydroid Prime trailer and nothing else, I would give my 10 out of 10 on 10 Alive.
Would
like,
you really?
Yeah, just for the meme of it. Like seriously, can you imagine getting 3,000 people over for like 10 Alive 2018, only showing them like the Hydroid Prime trailer, and then it's like being done? I'm like, yes, please.
That would be the equivalent of a Diablo Immortal. That would, I think, really upset people.
People would like everyone would just be like, everyone would be disappointed except for the Hydroid Mace. It would just be like, finally. Yes! I never gave up my dreams.
All three of them.
All right. Let's see. Some questions. I'm gonna ask. The console leaks. So Wukong Prime, the Conde Prime, and Suge Prime. What do you think?
Prime Access. It's there.
Yeah.
Ooh. I mean, like, I think I would have preferred Atlas Prime, but it's not the end of the world.
No. I think, like, it was to be expected. It's like, I would have loved to see Atlas, but, like, Wukong just got his, like, thing. It would have been great if it wasn't leaked, because now I certainly won't be putting Formula into Wukong now. I'll be saving them until Wukong Prime. But, yeah. I mean, when it comes to leaks, like, they happen. It's like, well, yeah. I mean, there's some way. I don't know how to do it, but yeah, it's not fully patched. But yeah, let's see. Are there any other questions?
I think I want to jump on what Circle of Psi has said.
All right, what do you say?
Also, as for the don't show, don't tell, in my eyes, it sounds like what a white knight would say. DE don't have that excuse. Yes, it's free. Yes, you don't have to pay for the DLC. But given the RNG on RNG, day waiting, weekly resets, etc., you still have to open your wallet. You may not have to, but someone does. You can sell primes, but who buys the primes? So, see, like, I don't think it's a white knight attitude, because a white knight attitude would be more a case of, nah, DE can't do anything wrong. I don't mean to just poo-poo your definition, but, like, seriously, a white knight, like, I've known some content creators to massively white knight DE and say that, you know, they can't do anything wrong. They can do things wrong. They have done things wrong. But, you know, I don't think the Planes remaster should have been hyped as it was. I don't think the Planes remaster should. I think there should have been more to the Planes remaster.
Okay, so I'm not one to like throw around with terms like white knighting at people, because I think that's putting a group identity of white knight above like the individual, and I always want to like look at people as an individual. And I think that when it comes to like the activity of condoning everything and accepting everything because DE is great. It's not a good thing. And if you do it, or if you catch yourself doing it, stop, because it's not good for DE or anyone that you care about if you go ahead and say that anything they do is good. And like that's one of the problems that a lot of young people are facing right now, because when they go out and they're asking like, well, what do I do? It's like, well, you do what you want. You're perfect. Like you can do whatever. You're good. Like you're fine. It's like if you're not doing good and you're being told that you're doing good, like if you're feeling like you're not doing good and people tell you to do good, like what the hell you do? What the hell you're gonna do?
Yeah.
If you're being told that whatever you do, it's good. It's like that's no way to like get direction as to like what you should be doing, and like that's horrible. And if you do that to DE or like and tell them whatever they do is good, like that's gonna be bad. Like yes, as long as you play the game, that's fine. If you think Warframe releasing no content is fine, you play the game, that's cool. But once you stop playing, like not everyone's gonna think that. It
was part of the problem with Arkwing, right? They got people complaining about it, saying like there are some elements to it that weren't great. There were some parts of it that were good and things. But like, so there's a philosophy that if you give people a 10-point scale, if they give you a rating that's like 3 or lower, that's good information. You know what you've done wrong. You can do better, right? If you get a rating of 9 or 10, again, that's amazing. You know what you've done right. You can do it again, right? Anything in between is useless because, yeah, it's good, right? What does that mean? Yeah, it's good. What part of it, microphone, what part of it isn't good?
Yeah.
Right? What part of it could be improved upon? What part of it should be removed? So on and so forth. And that's why Arkwing is this undeveloped mess. It's because it hasn't, had the feedback it needs.
I also want to continue on like what I said when it came to DE cannot use anything as an excuse. Yes, it's a free-to-play game and the DLC is free, but there are people paying for Prime Access. Let me tell you this, is that the way that DE operates can be super similar to the way that I operate my channel or that Casino operates his channel. All our content that we put out is free. But there are options that people pay for. Like you can subscribe on Twitch and you can pay for a Patreon. I'm not going to plug a Patreon, but yeah. So,
Just did.
I said I wasn't going to do it.
Yeah, but you just did
anyway,
by saying that you weren't going to do it.
So, yes, there are ways that people can pay for it. And people will. Like, just like you say, when it comes to the Prime Access, people can pay for it and people will pay for it. Does that mean that DE is obliged to do whatever you say they should do because people, like, yeah, it may be free, but people... No. Like, just like Casino and I are not obliged to do these things. It's like, if we have a contractual agreement with the two, with like you, where you pay us for a certain commission, for a certain thing, for like a certain task, then we're obliged to do it. But we can choose not to. And DE, in their own right, can choose not to do something. DE could, in their own right, stop developing anything. It would be a bad business decision, especially if you have like people paying for things. It would be a bad business decision to like stop releasing Prime Access, stop releasing everything, don't show anything, because like people will stop paying and like that will be bad for you. But they have no obligation. They don't need to excuse themselves for anything because they're their own business and they can make their own business decisions. So like they don't need to excuse themselves to you. Their DE does not have any obligation to come forward to us and explain their decisions to us. They don't have to. They're their own business. If they do it in certain things like the dev stream or certain things like TennoLife, it's nice because it kind of binds your customers to you. It's a smart thing to keep people like within the loop, be a little bit transparent, but they don't have to.
Another big thing is, likewise, you don't have to put money into the game. If you're not happy with their reveals or how they do business and things, you can jump ship just as much.
Yeah.
It's both. It's a relationship. You don't have to buy into what they're selling if you don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to jump on Blue Saber. Don't know if you guys mentioned this. Should they gate access to Railjack and why?
Oh god, I think we talked about this.
Do you want me to answer this first?
Yeah, go ahead.
My answer is yes, because new players have too much to do after Vor's Prize as it stands. We need to actually put some space between the new players and Railjack. So that's all there is to it. Or maybe it's a case of, yeah, you have to be in the clan. Therefore, people will go search out clans. Therefore, people in clans can help new players. That's a certain healthy symbiotic relationship right there. So
Personally, I'm a big advocate for putting things at the end of the progression, because like, this is the thing, is that I've been like, the thing that I wanted to think about it, and let you like going on first, is that because last week we talked about the new player experience, and the week before we talked about end game, and the reason that people that they put things at the start is because the new players could jump into it and they would be able to like play the new content, and then like you could cover the entire scale of the player base, or try to cover as many players and not just the end game players, which I can understand. But for me, I feel that if I'm just talking on like my personal experience level, I feel that when it comes when they release a Plains of Eidolon or a Fortuna at the start of the game, or now let's say Railjack at the start of the game, yes, that will please new players, but but I said before that I didn't feel Plains of Eidolon or Fortuna was terrific. It was great, but it wasn't terrific, because you got in, it was like super easy. It's like, oh, okay, just doing some bounties, got a little bit harder, but okay, alright, okay, I've seen it. It's like, it's cool that there's an open world, but sure, alright, sure. And I think that putting it towards like the later stages of the game, after the sacrifice, like, is an instant motivator for the people that are already past it, and a motivator for people that are new to go through the years of content that's already there, go through the second dream, war within sacrifice, and then come to like the new things. And I've argued that I think it comes across to me as a sort of insecurity in the previous years of content, where it's like, we need to put this brand new thing right at the start because otherwise people won't play it. To which I say, well, you have some amazing stuff in there. It's like, this game's been going for 6 years. There's a reason why it's been going on for 6 years, because there's content in there which is really, really good, which gets people hooked. Maybe the new player experience is a bit rough, but you have the second dream, you have the war within, you have, like, these are things that should be enough for people to come in and play through it and be satisfied. And then if you add something to the end of it, not only when you release it are people like excited about it that are already at the end of it, but you extend helicopter coming by, but you extend the excitement, well you extend the journey of the new players, instead of them having like Plains of Ireland, like them getting stuck and not really moving past the plains because they think the plains is all there is. They move through like what is Warframe, years of content for Warframe, and then they have new stuff added. And if you continue to do that, then their journey will be longer, and it will take longer for them to like come to the point where I feel a bunch of people are at that are experienced veterans in Warframe, which were like, well, I'm just waiting until the next update. So I think personally that it will be a really good thing. I'd be excited about that. But yeah.
Cool. I cannot see anything else in terms of questions, because I see there's a conversation held between a few of our lovelies. So I'm wondering if that's it for this episode.
Yeah,
hopefully my food should be here soon.
Yeah, I think we're also at around 2 hour mark, so, and we have a recording to get to as well. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I super appreciate it. Thank you for joining in, and I'm excited for TennoCon to see what's coming up.
Yep.
How are you feeling for TennoCon?
I to be honest, I think I'm more excited to just like socialize with people. Like, to be honest, I never know what to expect until it actually hits me, and I'm just like,
Yeah. For me, like, the thing that I'm gonna miss most is hanging out with people. Like, I just got a tweet from James who said, I'm missing you already for TennoCon. It's like, for me, like, the only reason that I go to TennoCon is to like hang out with people. Yeah. So yeah, that's
gonna miss you, man.
yeah, dude, like the thing that sucks the most is that Joey's gonna be there, Santa's gonna be there, you're gonna be there. Like, it's the entire like weekly Warframe show cast, and like I'm missing, and I'm like, damn, that would have been so cool. Like, I've never seen Sandy in real life. I'm like, dude, would be so
Was
cool.
he there last year?
No, it wasn't there last year. So yeah, it's but like that's also like one of my main reasons why I'm not going, because it's like, for me, one of my main reasons was to hang out with people, but because there's so many people, like, you barely can really like spend quality time with anyone. It's like $2,000.
Yeah.
So it's like I spent $2,000 to have like a suboptimal experience to hang out with people, and it's like I'd rather spend $2,000 on like an optimal experience to hang out with people. But yeah, Psy asks, Xeno, are you gonna live stream a podcast going to TennoCon?
I think what I'll do is I will put out like frequent videos on Twitter going like, "Oh, I'm at the train station.
Do we
I'm on the train."
do we also have different times next week? Like, are we going to be doing this next week on Tuesday, or are we going to be doing this next week on another day?
We'll have to do it on another day, because when I get back from TennoCon, I need to record 10 o'clock.
All right. So next week,
yeah.
we'll have the FrameCast on another day. Make sure you keep an eye on like the socials. It will probably be like a later day in the week, so Wednesday or Thursday or so. But we'll have to figure it out. Guys, thank you so much for watching.